back my car, old Chevette 84. Drove it till the engine smoked. Hitched a ride through San Antonio. Got a job tending bar. Let a senorita break my heart. I wanna sink my feet into some Illinois clay. Walk along the cornfield in the cool of the day. Get a dog and chase a rat.
Welcome.
We ready? Good to go?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Another episode of the CommonGround podcast, and pretty excited today. We've got special guest, Rob Sharkey, farmer from Bradford, Illinois. So welcome. I'm going to be introducing him to the platform and just kind of getting some feedback and just having a general discussion about things. Already excited. So
Rob, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
No, thanks for having. Where are we? What's the hometown?
this is actually Ipava, Illinois.
That's what I'm saying. It's a real name. Ipava.
It's Ipava. It is
Like an asphalt company.
It does sound like an asphalt company. I will give you that. I don't know what the exact population is, but I doubt it's 3 digits. It might be.
So no dollar store.
There is not a Dollar General. Okay. There are 2 bars and an antique store. And I think they have the same hours of operation. So
If you have 2 bars, I think you have to have 2 churches. I think that's
I don't know if there's a church in there or not.
There is.
There is?
Yeah.
There is a church?
Across from the one gas station.
might be a church and a bar.
Probably the
You
same.
never-
It's
yeah.
one and the same.
Yeah, or there's a bar in the church for sure. So we were actually, the power was out here. We were tilling food plots out here Saturday night, and I got back and I was mowing in the skidder. My buddy was tilling, and I got into the shop and got out of my skidder, and I hear this beeping. What the hell is that beeping? It's driving me nuts. So it's starting to get dark, and I go to flip on the shop lights. I'm like, the shop lights aren't working.
Mm-hmm.
This makes no sense. So I go in the house, flip on lights. I'm like, I got no power. What do you mean I got no power? I just put in a brand new gen set. So I go out to the generator. There's a red light on. I'm like,
Oh, red's not good.
red's not good. I'm like, why is my generator? This is brand new. It's not working. So I'm getting real mad.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the best way to find out you're out of propane is for the power to go out and your generator to not be working. Because then you go check the propane tank and it's empty. So that's why the generator wasn't working.
Doesn't it start up like every week? Ours was like every Wednesday.
Yeah, but when you're out here every weekend or every other week, it fires up and runs on a Tuesday. So I don't know. I'm never out here when it's cycling. So it basically has been cycling all summer, and it ran me out of propane without me knowing. Because you don't really think about propane during the summer. Not out here anyways. But
I'm so sorry for your loss.
well, we had to actually go into Ipava. That's where I was going with this story, to eat dinner. And the other bar had outdoor karaoke. You want to talk about a spectacle. Outdoor karaoke on Main Street in Ipava. It was, you heard it as soon as you got out of the truck, and you could not get into the restaurant fast enough. It was quite comical. So
Was it Shania? Any man of mine?
I blocked the memory out of my mind at this point. So, but luckily the power was back on when we got home. So yeah, that's my last Ipava story. But Fulton County, Southern Illinois, God's country.
This is not Southern Illinois.
Well, Southern
Southern
County.
Okay.
We're southern, not even close. Western Illinois.
Western Illinois, Southern Fulton County. So
They call Bureau County Southern Illinois. Up by us.
it depends on where you're from. I mean, if you're from Chicago,
that's
that's Southern Illinois. Yeah. But anybody that lives in Chicago or is from there, they think everybody that lives south of I-80 is Southern Illinois.
Yeah. It is beautiful out here.
Thank you. Thank you.
As a farmer and as a hunter outfitter, this is perfect.
Yes, it's working out so far, and I appreciate the compliments. Brad was integral on the design of the building and the layout and everything.
No,
So
definitely not me. No, that's
he wanted me to bulldoze the house when I bought it. So
Why?
it. Didn't look anything like it.
he just couldn't see.
Does he have no vision? Is that what it is?
I would say there's a lack of vision with Brad. So at least when it comes to construction.
Wait a minute, this is your partner?
Yes, so that's why I said at least when it comes to construction. Yeah, when it comes to selling ground and knowing ground, and That's his
Home,
wheel.
home remodels is not my thing. Yeah.
Yeah. He learned that. Well, not even remodels, but just construction.
Just in general.
He just got done with a pool and pool house, and it was fun to watch. It was really fun to watch.
Me struggle.
I mean, it was mental gymnastics all day, every day.
Fine.
So, but yeah, we're happy. We're happy to have you here. So, introduce you to the platform and ask questions, hard questions, good questions.
Okay.
So, we're excited.
What do you know about what we do?
That has not much.
That's what I figured.
Yeah. I met a guy named Doug in a bar one night. It was a karaoke night.
And I'm able.
Yes, yeah. And then he said, hey, get in the truck, and here we are.
I like it. I like it. So you,
Doug seems to have an immense amount of influence over you.
Wow.
so the pictures.
And you got some gutters there. Yeah, a little bit of blackmail on Sharky there. So,
But yeah, so you've been doing Shark Farming podcast for
384 weeks.
376 weeks. Yeah.
And close to slip.
So, yeah, we've been doing it a while.
Why'd you start doing that?
Well, originally it was going to be a hunting podcast
Okay.
because we had a hunter come in and she had a hunting podcast, and where we got talking about it, I'm like, yeah, I've got all these funny stories. We can just do those. I've got like a notebook of stupid stuff that the guys do. So brought a couple of the guys in, some of the funnier stories, and we launched 5 episodes to start. We did 2 hunting and then 3 where I interviewed farmers. The hunting ones, to this day, those guys will tell you that's the funniest stuff I've ever done. Everybody else, if you weren't there and you don't know the people, it is the dumbest waste of 30 minutes you'll ever have. The audio that goes through your ears will be the most horrific stories. It's the dumbest. If you have to be there, it just does not translate. So we pivoted over to agriculture and let the hunting go.
How long have you been farming then?
All my life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, went to college for 4 years and came right back to the farm.
The farm is awesome. Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, more or less, what we do is our goal is to connect landowners with the best tenant operators in the area.
And as a farmer, are you looking to grow your operation and gain more acres, or are you content with the amount of acres you're farming now? Or, how do you see that going? And not just from your perspective, but how do you view the industry as if you're not growing, you're dying? And the consolidation, because growers are getting bigger and they're able to, put pressure on rents and economies of scale. So what's your whole view on the landscape of, are you shrinking, are you staying the same size, or should you be growing?
I think it's, my opinion, it's just a common practice that you need to grow. You need to, if something comes up for rent, you better be on it. You better have your pulse on the neighborhood. You better, I hate to say it, but you better be going to the visitations. That's a joke. That's a joke, but that's the way a lot of them look at it. Yeah.
First in line though, right?
I've seen it happen, and I tell you what, I was so annoyed when I found out that person actually ended up renting the farm, because I was like, that was a scummy thing to do.
So it's, all joking aside, going to the visitation, as a farmer wanting to grow, sitting in this seat, how do you go about doing that this day and age? I mean, you say keep your pulse on it, but how?
It is tough. We have 2 different entities here. We have our farm, and then we do run an outfitter. I go about getting ground differently with that, just because of the way agriculture is looked at and the way farming is looked at is different than releasing hunting ground. So I try to have those conversations with people that I know, in 5 years, right? Might be looking at retiring or whatever, and say, hey, I'm farming, I've got my son back, this is how we do it. Our families have known each other. If you decide to rent out your farm, I would at least love to have a conversation and have a chance to bid on it. That's the way I do it.
Okay.
I have a lot of competition with neighbors that are a lot more aggressive, and I will say they probably are more successful than I am, but that's where I am with the farming side of it.
Okay. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And when we kicked this off, it was, I had this idea and I visited with Brad about it, and I immediately thought, okay, how is this going to affect the farming community? So I went back and I actually talked to one of his cousins, a couple of other farmers that I grew up with and went to high school with, and I said, how do you find opportunities to grow your operation and find more ground around? Because there's two ways: you're going to buy or you're going to rent. Buying ground is not a cheap proposition anymore. It's very capital intensive, and it's getting harder with rates rising. So renting seems a logical solution, but how do you find those opportunities to rent? And that's when it was, okay, I'm a landowner. I'm looking for a farmer. There's got to be a way to kind of create the Airbnb/eBay of farmland leasing.
Like Tinder.
Of sorts.
I've never been on Tinder, so I can't speak to that, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
But we are essentially making matches. And yes, I guess the landlord could swipe right or could swipe left.
You don't have to be lonely. At Farmers Only. That.
Are they Are they in business still?
I don't know. I've been married for almost 30 years.
You should Google it. I mean, you could technically do that with every occupation. Like welders only, like, who would it work?
Could you imagine a dating site for
Pipefitters only?
welders? Be a little one-sided. Did you imagine get the notification a female actually entered the chat?
She'd definitely be hot to try. Yeah, I don't know. You could do it for anything, I guess. So, but yeah, farmers only. Yeah.
Catchy little tin is all you need. And,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, a little bit more about us. I think Chris can probably, explain some of how we started. Originally, cashrent.com. We did a rebrand in January of this year for a couple of different purposes. We saw a huge demand for hunting leases, and found that same deal. There's no transparency really or data out there for what is a 160-acre tract in Fulton County worth to somebody for deer hunting.
And that's, as I spoke to you earlier when you got here, it all got started here. Was, my background was in buying and selling, real estate investing, mechanical companies, and I bought a hobby farm because I like to hunt. I like being in the outdoors. So this was it. And when I closed, it was like, okay, I got a farm now. I didn't even realize it. And that's when I got involved with the neighbor on a 50-50. Long story short, I didn't think it was penciling out the way it should. I went to him and said, hey, I want to go straight cash rent. I want to know my ROI, no more 50-50, because I was getting seed bills, fertilizer bills. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a farmer. And so when he told me what he'd give me in cash rent, I said, well, let me back up here, take some time to do some research. So I started trying to do research and figure out what is the value of my ground.
Yeah, who do you call?
I don't know. That's what I tried to figure out. And then I went to, University of Ag or Illinois Ag Extension, and it was, okay, here's the county averages. And then I started digging into how they got their county averages. If that's not the most insane mechanism I've ever heard of.
Your farm's beautiful, but that's not a flat black 80 that is.
You sound like a farmer.
Yes, exactly.
It's got a lot of deer damage. I mean, look at all those field edges.
Damn right, I have a lot of practice at this.
What would you say? What would you pay for 123 PI ground in southern Fulton County? Gets 210, 220 bushel corn, 60-some acre beans.
I mean, that's still not a bad yield for
timber.
What I would assume all the deer damage would be. I eat 220-ish, 30-ish.
He's a real pro. Hit the nail on the head. That's where I'm at.
Really glad I got that right.
Man, door number one works every time. So yeah, I'm sitting there going, well, he's telling me this number. The county average says this. So I compiled all this data. I did soil samples, got that data back. Then I took a GPS around and figured out how much tillable I actually had. I had
That's good.
I had 2 more acres than I thought I had because the guy previous, he wasn't registered. He wasn't paying insurance. He was just farming. So it was just like, yeah, you got this many acres. And so I didn't really know. So took all this data. Then I met with some farmers that I'm friends with. And I said, what would you pay? And it was, well, I'd pay this, I'd pay this, I'd pay this. And everyone gave me a different range.
Sure.
And I said, this is weird. I'm a business guy. How's everybody paying a different rate? Well, he's buying seed at a different scale and inputs. He's getting this guy's got a little newer equipment that might be getting better yields. Mm-hmm. This guy's got a different overhead structure. So it quickly dawned on me that farming was a business and people run at different margins and different overhead structures, and they run their businesses differently. Some take more risks than others. And I saw this gaping hole, compiled all this data, and I take it back to my farmer and I say, I did all the work. Here's what it's worth.
You said you were too high.
And he shot me the same number.
Yeah. She probably knew the whole time.
So that's when I called Brad. Brad and I, we've grown up together and been best friends for longer than I'd like to admit. And he's a land broker, deals recreational ag ground. And I said, hey, man, here's my dilemma. I need to find a new farmer. How do I do that? He said, I really don't know anybody in that area down there. And it just stuck with me. And it was like, why can we not build something? If you've got farmers of the mentality, every farmer I talked to had that same mentality. If you're not growing, you need to be growing.
Yeah.
And it's tough. You got to keep your pulse. You got to be first in line at the funeral. If you're not doing that, like, there's got to be a connection to have a dual-sided marketplace for a landowner like myself to find price discovery quickly without having to do soil samples and, GPS's field and go through 3 weeks of, hell trying to get all this fragmented data from the USDA that is garbage in, garbage out, in my opinion, because it's a self-reported survey. You get mailed a survey. So what do you pay in cash rent type situation?
I never fill those out.
Really? Why not?
Because I don't like to.
You don't want the government up in your business?
No.
You just never get the letter.
But isn't it concerning even as a farmer, probably, to me, that's the data that's out there readily available for landowners or anybody to see, and so you go on University of Illinois' extension, pull up Bureau County, Illinois, they're going to say, well, the county average is $210 an acre. Well, that's great, other than the fact that I'm looking at that, not knowing anything about farm ground. I own farm ground because I inherited it. So my farmer's paying me $190 right now. But nobody in this mix other than the farmer, I don't know that that's 138 PI flat black ground, okay? And so I look at, 210 is not, maybe like, could I get this guy to 200? Well, you should be paying 380 to 420 or something for the ground, okay? And so to me, it's like, it's a huge, just almost like it's misguiding people, the data that comes out, because it's like that field right there might be 140 PI. This could be,
but our farmer
reclaims.
Would you say the county averages are under?
They're always under. And I tell you why, because they throw in parents and children. Like what you rent for.
Elaborate.
I'm renting my mom's ground. My mom is not going to push me to the limit of rent. She's going to make everybody happy, which is going to be a cheap deal. Plus, you also have the farmer that has been farming that ground for 30 years. And even if the landowner passes and the kids go to it, they're like, oh, we're not going to raise a rent on a 90-year-old farmer. So there's a lot of skewed information.
So you're saying the USDA data is skewed.
Yeah,
to the low side, but
it's truthful. But like when your situation where you're wanting to find out
what somebody's willing to pay,
then I don't know.
It's truthful.
Yeah.
So when those surveys come out, do you think it is a timely survey to be reflective of when they're published? Because what I found is that was your county rental average for the previous year. And people are like, oh, well, the county average was 200, and they're going into spring, and commodity prices might be up, and maybe your new rental rate should be higher than the county average. So to me, it kind of seems like garbage in, garbage out, and by the time it is out for public consumption, it's almost stale data.
Yeah,
because
very dated.
Well, it's the government.
Yes, not the most efficient. So, and getting worse by the day.
Oh, is that where we're going with this? Talking about politics?
No. Well, we can, but I think we would probably alienate some. I don't know.
You got to alienate half of your audience one way or another.
That is true. That is.
Why did Michael Jordan always say, because he was a Democrat, he says, well, Republicans buy tennis shoes too.
Yes, that's exactly what he said. That is exactly what he said. So, yes. But that was a predicament I found myself in. Was like I said, I had a real estate background. I've got rental houses. And when I put a house up for rent, I say it's for rent for X amount a month. Mm-hmm. I don't let the tenant tell me what it's worth. And that's why I found it so backwards of why is the farmer telling me what it's worth? Why am I not telling the farmer what it's worth?
Because you don't know. And not as an insult, but
I was ignorant. Know. Yeah, everybody's ignorant. There's a difference between stupidity and ignorant. Mm-hmm. And my wife argues that I bounce back and forth.
That's what she was telling me.
I know.
And you're not fine.
Yeah. Well, I do a good job at it. But I was ignorant in the sense of I don't know what my ground is worth. And it really pissed me off because I like to be, you've known me long enough to know nothing about me, but I like to be in the know. And I was just like,
I thought you were going to say in control.
That too. I'm a Leo. I am a Leo. Okay. So, yeah, going down the rabbit hole, maybe in a Leo again.
But, percentage-wise, we don't know. There's no data on this, but how many landowners out there, I would say more than not, have no idea. They don't. And that's why the farmer tells them what they're going to pay. And they say, well, I don't have any argument back considering, what were your yields last year? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, why don't you want to give those to me?
Well, we've seen it time and time again. So the farmer passes away, right? And then even whatever, the kids or the wife that really have not been involved in the operation all of a sudden need to pick something. And they're trusting this farmer. Not everybody's trustworthy. I hate to say, I love agriculture, I love farming, but you're putting trust in a person that you don't know, even, if they're new or someone that your husband dealt with. So yeah, there's a lot to be desired.
And that was the reason that the cash rent estimate was born.
The what?
Cash rent estimate.
Jeez, make that up.
No, that's
what is it?
Cash rent estimate.
I can't even say that
3 times quickly.
Cash rent
estimate.
I gotta try again.
Cash rent.
Oh, wait, did you make that up?
He actually called me after 96 beers one night, and he was like,
he probably said it right. It came out there.
I think it was probably 11 o'clock, and you're like, dude,
your price tax. I'm like, do you got to answer your phone?
Your price discovery tool. It needs to be called the cash rent estimates. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, it's almost like a zestimate for farmland. And I'm like, I like it. Let's run with it. Cash rent.
You've been drinking too?
Probably. It was during the week. It passed 4 o'clock. So probably.
So the cash rent estimate, though, it's throughout CommonGround platform. It's a price discovery tool, broke down by the county level. Primarily, we're in 16, 17 states now with the algorithm. And we pull all of the data that's out there, readily available, put it into a linear regression equation, not me personally or him, but some of our guys. And so it will spit out a range.
Show them.
I say I have no damn idea what you said. Yeah, it sounds really important.
His wife said he's audio, visual, and kinesthetic when it comes to learning. He's the trifecta. So we'll have to show him, tell him.
And
he might have to do one himself.
Cluster in here at times.
If you have pictures, that I like to look at pictures.
We'll go to your email and pull up a cash rent estimate.
We are you want to run? This is
sure they're talking to me or not.
Somebody.
We'll get his opinion.
Oh, where do you? Oh,
Bradford.
Still not sure.
Bradford.
61421.
Do you still 2-finger type?
No,
he's a hunt and pecker. Is what we used to call him in high school and typing class.
So here's Bradford. What direction do you want to go out of Bradford?
No way.
But
northeast.
Northeast.
You know you're from Bradford if you
right there
up means
it's good enough.
Right here? Pick this still here?
Good enough.
That's his field.
It is awful close.
Allen Family Limited Partnership.
Yeah.
Would you want to look at this one?
That was sure.
163 acre tract.
It's a nice farm.
So what this does is it pulls parcel.
In some cases, so the green shade is. Are you familiar with the common land unit? which
an acre?
so common land unit, if they call them CLU fields. So like in some cases, this layer here will actually take them out.
Parcel and sale.
Let's say let's pick a different part. It's really cool.
So the common land units are the registered FSA acres.
Okay.
So some fields.
Oh, I got you.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it'll actually basically eliminate the timber and waterways if they're recorded with that.
Yeah, that one right there.
This guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheryl Lord.
And so you see what it said, this
So automatically. So instead of me GPSing,
Gotcha. Okay.
or
That's nice.
or having to draw out your tillable.
Yes.
They're not perfect, but they're very, very close. And we're working on some stuff internally to continually improve on these.
because your CLUs were last updated and made available through the Freedom of Information Act through the United States government. Do you know the last time it was updated?
I don't.
2008.
Oh.
15 years ago. So field edges have been dozed, pushed back, waterways have moved, so it's close.
You're going to, what was it? That field should be exactly 100 acres. How close was it?
Well, total acres 107.6. But I'll bet if I go back here and I get rid of this CLU here,
Yeah.
Because that is reflective of more tillable.
let's see. Okay, so that's not so this are gonna be tillable. That comes out to 100.1 acres.
But look how far you're off.
What did you say?
0.1 of an acre.
He said, "Oh,
That's for you. You farm.
I do farm that.
Okay. Can I I don't know. 126 PI Bashada. We're gonna say at 300.
pays 225 internet."
And so this is going to what cash rent estimate.
Yeah, we're not saying this.
So
Get rid of that right now.
And so we give a range here. And we gave a range because there's certain portions of any specific farm that we don't know. And a lot of times landowner, has this farm been pattern top? I don't know.
No.
Okay, but so we give this range. We give some data here. There's going to be, realistically, our stuff is very conservative. We've kept it very conservative. But from what we did,
318 on the low and then on the high.
yeah, here's our soil map. Here's our, all our soil stuff. But the real interesting thing for a landowner is to be able to go here. Now, we have seen 9 out of 10 times for farms that go through the system that the high bids are 90% of the time above our high.
Really?
On any of these estimations. Yep.
If a landowner called me with that exact piece and said, "What is my ground worth?" and I ran him that cash flow estimate, I said, "It's saying your median's 353." And I would tell them, "I guarantee you, if you put it on the platform, you will go well over 353. And not over 9 out of 10 times I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Initial thoughts.
Well, okay, that farm, exactly, because that farm is cut up very badly because of the turbines, which is why the rent is lower on that. But I would suppose anybody that would be bidding on that probably would know that. But are you getting the bids from locals or
We market to every farmer within a 60-mile radius.
What we found, though, Sharky, and I think you'll understand this as well as anybody, like you're not going to go to, like, you got farmers close in your vicinity here, right? You're friends with or know well. You have to see. You're not going to go to their landowner and be like, "Hey, I'd like to get in on this.
No.
Farm this for you." Okay.
It's
But what we found is that once it goes on here, the gloves come off.
Because it's all anonymous bidding.
yeah.
But everybody's interested all of a sudden. When nobody before was going to go touch one of Rob's fields, not a chance. I'm going to have to see him in Casey's in the morning, getting coffee or something.
And he's a big dude.
But when they,
I wouldn't mess with him.
but when it goes on here,
Word is hefty.
it doesn't, stock eat.
Stop.
Do you want to try another one?
Sure.
Okay. Where you want to go? Same direction? Northeast of Bradford?
You pick.
Okay. Let's do
Dealer's choice, Bradley.
dealer's choice. Let's do,
You know,
How about this?
You've been the best guest we've ever had on this podcast. Do you realize that?
Yeah. Oh, well, I assumed.
I mean, you've been the only guest we've had on the podcast, so you're setting the bar very high.
Yeah.
I like it.
This has not been the best podcast I've been on.
Thank you.
We're not done yet.
Not even close.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I never throw a book out halfway through. Let's put it that way.
Even if you,
So this
even if it, no, sometimes you start saying a joke and you're like, that probably won't go over with everybody.
this is a 138 PI farm, 62.4 tillable acres. Are you familiar with 450 north and 1775 east?
I know.
Let me show you all these things down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
Got an idea.
Yep.
Setron Creek. All right, so this is nice. This is nice looking soil. We're gonna say we're currently getting $350 an acre on this farm. Low A-class soil. The median's gonna be 400, a range of 360 to 440.
Okay, but I want hunting rights on that one.
You want, and we can we do a lot of that as well. But we don't do it for the operator directly. The landowner can list this for their tillable lease, and then they can create a separate listing for the hunting lease. Same bidding operation. High bidder never wins. It's still ultimately up to the landowner to decide who they want hunting on their ground or who they want.
And that's a good segue into. We started out as cash rent, where it was we want to connect landowners with qualified tenant farmers. And high bid doesn't win. I don't know if you know that.
I'm learning that.
High bid does not win. So if I'm landowner, I put it out for bid. We average 12 bidders at 63 to 65 bids per property. When those bids are done and executed, it's closed. The landowner looks at it and maybe takes the top 4 or 5 and looks at their farmer profile.
Okay.
And it says, okay, here's Rob. He farms 4,000 acres. He uses this equipment. He's this age, yada, yada, yada.
Really? You get it's equipment?
Equipment, age. When you fill out your farmer profile,
I'm a Scorpio. I like long walks on a beach.
whatever you want.
You can put all that in
You
there.
can put any additional info you want. You can do selfies.
I find I find older landlord women attractive.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you get it. You're getting it. Yeah. Yeah, Rob picked up 9 farms this month.
So when they go through, they say, hey, here's the top 4 or 5 bidders. Every landowner chooses for a different reason. We've had landowners take one that was $20 an acre less. And the lady said, he's in his early 30s. I want to give a young farmer a shot. Perfect. Yeah. We enable the landowner to make the decision. And they reach out. They have us reach out. It's very white glove. But ultimately, we stay out. It's a free marketplace. Said, hey, you put it up. We'll get farmers to bid. You make the decision based on what you want. And it's a myriad of reasons. We had one farmer. He was right in the heart of it, but he wasn't had a bid. And the landowner said, hey, I live 3 hours away. I don't want the farmer that lives an hour away. I want the guy that lives in town that's going to drive by, make sure the ditches are mowed and garbage is picked up. I know he's not high bidder, but I know he's going to drive by it every day. Perfect. You're the landowner. It's your asset. Whatever makes you happy. So that's how the bidding works.
How do you find the people that are willing to rent their ground now?
Then you
A lot of it comes through leads through cash rent submits that are done. So internally, for every cash rent submit that comes through, like if I wasn't logged into my own account there, my phone would be ringing from
we get our email every time the landowner does a cash rent estimate.
Okay, so somebody finds us online, they go to their farm, and then
And then
That's
as soon as they run a cash rent estimate, within 30 minutes, we have a gal that follows up with a phone call to ask them questions.
what if it's 1 o'clock in the morning?
Well, she'll do it the next morning. Yeah, she sleeps too.
So we try to, we continue to say very white glove, and we want to educate. I mean, that's the big thing to me is educating these landowners on what they have outside of. Your other option, which I don't believe is ever a great option, would be a farm manager. That we've talked about time and time again. That for a farm manager is going to charge you 6-7%, and not really actually, in my opinion, go out there and be working for the landowner who's paying them this. They're still kind of working
Well, they've got a fiduciary responsibility.
of sorts. I haven't seen. I don't. Do you have an opinion on?
Yeah, farm managers are the greatest thing to ever happen to agriculture, and I love dealing with them, and I can't wait to talk to them in the future.
Perfect.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah, it's the only way that you get a lot of ground, because the way, literally, that the people that you are going after, they have no idea, like a person like yourself that is not as stubborn as you are and had to do it all this.
Yeah.
They'll just go, well, who do we call? Oh, you call up a farm manager.
They hit the easy button.
Exactly. That's the way they do it.
And then the farm manager hits an easy button and calls
Easy
Ron.
button away from, only if I slipped them $100 under the table.
Sure.
Yeah. That's how you get
Christmas,
But then,
It's to turkey. How much are you giving your farm manager?
but it's still kind of an insider deal though to me. And
It is.
I'm not a farm manager. I've never been a farm manager.
Or just farm managers, we say, hey, use this tool, show your client that you're getting them the best shake. And they're like, farm managers, we don't
As you see, they got to hate you guys.
We found that out. We thought the farmers were going to hate us. They love us. The farm managers hate us.
Can you explain to me why would a farm manager hate what we're doing?
Because we're bringing transparency.
But they're supposed to be representing the landowner who's paying.
Okay. So look, I want to be perfect. I do need to say this. I've worked with some very, very good farm managers, and I am currently working with, and that's not a joke.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them that love that the landowners don't know stuff like this, because then they're reliant on them. But that's how they make their.
They work for the landowner.
Yeah, but there's also another farm manager down the road.
But I feel like if I was the farm manager, he was a farm manager, we both have landowners who are wanting to come work for us. I consistently show 25% higher ROI in my farm management practices than he does. Or what if you just get all?
They don't. You're getting in the weeds.
But
all they want to know is I've got a farm, rent it, and give me a check. Farm manager is going to take care of everything.
But should the farm manager do some due diligence out of his 2 or 3 farmer network in that area?
Again, a lot of great farm managers. You also have a lot of lazy ones.
Okay. All right. And I'm just asking because it doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like if somebody hired me to go work for them and find them at $10, I would search outside of my 3 or 4 per.
And me as a farm,
They like the easy button.
but if I'm a farm manager and let's say I'm with farm management company X and he's a farm manager with farm management company Y, and a landowner contacts both of us and says, I'm looking for a farm manager. I'm going to decide between the two of us. So we go meet and we give our spiel. I'm thinking if I'm a farm manager and I say, here's how I'm going to get you the best rent possible, utilizing an open, transparent marketplace. And you know that you have 12 qualified bidders that put in 63 bids. And together, me as the educated boots on the ground, it might not be the very highest, but we know we found you price equilibrium in a true tested marketplace. And together we're going to make a selection on the winning tenant. Or he goes in and says, I'll take care of it.
I got a guy.
Yeah,
I got a guy
for you.
and you're going to take the easy button too. I know Bob over here is going to farm the way I want it to. He's going to give me all the information, not give me a bunch of lip. That's why Bob keeps getting these farm managers. I mean, they deal with the same farmers.
But the landowner loses, right? I mean, they're
Sometimes.
paying. Through this, it doesn't cost the landowner a dime. It's completely free.
All they need to know is to know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Tell you guys, a podcast is not the way to do it. Nobody listens to
we
podcasts.
try to bring a big guy like you in. And we're thankful to have you today. Thank you.
Ultimate big, started out my present.
Yeah.
346 podcasts.
76.
Gosh, my memory. The older I get.
But that's
Going back to the farm management side of things, I'd like to get your opinion on the rental side. So how do you think rental rates affect land values?
Well, obviously they got to correlate. I don't know land values. I don't know why ground is $25,000 in my area and corn is dropping. I'm not equipped to answer that, except for the fact that lands up for sale. and 2 guys want it, and that's why we're at.
Emotions might dictate some of the price.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not true economics all the time.
Yes, I would. I will.
The man,
Yeah.
mentally, remotely.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, and it depends on their situation, whether they're 1031 and they're buying for their kids or whatever the choice might be. But what we saw was Brad's a land broker. So when we came up with this, he would be out walking a piece of ground. And he would say, okay, this is currently getting 200 in rent. Here's the sales price. It's kicking off 2% ROI. Well, he'd write a cash rent estimate on his phone and be like, well, we can get 300 out of this. Well, let's buy it at this price. And then as soon as we close, we'll put it on the marketplace and we'll get your rent up to 300 an acre. Now your ROI is even more.
Inherently,
The value of the ground just went up because it's kicking off a higher cap rate. Similar to rent houses. If I buy a rent house and it's getting $750 a month in rent, and I know it's undervalued, and then I go rent it out for $1,250 a month, I can sell it for more than I paid for it based off of cap rate and cash flow.
You might be bringing in non-farmers to buy that ground too.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So where I'm going with this is I got into, you could call it a heated discussion with the farmer.
Did you hit somebody?
And
Did he hit you? Did he want to?
It's close.
Yeah. Did he swing?
No.
He's a farmer, so I'm assuming he's nice.
Told him to
Is
go,
that why you were?
Told him to go to bed. Yes.
He go where?
Go to bed. We were lobby bar.
It's an odd flex.
Go to bed.
You go to bed. You
Actually, I told his friend to take him to bed, and his friend understood.
Were they?
maybe.
Anyway, we get lost in the details.
Who knows? I met on farmers.
Why were you fighting? Why were you and the bad guy fighting?
He thought I was going to ruin the industry with my idea.
I see.
And so we got talking about the economics, and the point came up of if you're paying undervalue for rent, you're inherently hurting an entire asset class based off of a cap rate, because a rising tide should lift all boats.
Mm-hmm.
If rental rates go up 30% across the board, wouldn't the value of the ground somewhat correlate?
You would think so.
You would think so. So if I'm a farmer and I own this field right here, and it's a 130 PI, and the field next door to me is being rented at $200, they're worth the same. I own this, but this rental rate gets on the platform and it goes up to $400 an acre.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then somebody buys it at $400 an acre on the cap rate, and then that's a comp for you next door. So higher rental rates intrinsically raise the value of the asset class as a whole. Rising tide lifts all boats. So I told the farmer, we're actually helping your balance sheet. You don't realize it.
Mm-hmm. I honestly, I know why he was angry with you, because I like when we saw
short.
What do we?
I mean, he's probably angry all the time. Let's be honest.
Napoleon time?
It was like 5'4", wouldn't you say?
He was so,
And I'm 6'4". And I'm 6'6" when I drink. And so he's probably angry all the time.
Okay.
So
Did you send him? Did you hit him?
No, I didn't hit him. I looked at his friend and I said, get him to bed.
Okay. When I saw that field up there, and it was over what I'm paying for rent, it gets you a little nervous that my landlord will see that and will go, yeah. So I understand the human emotion part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have to deal with what has happened in the past with, I don't think they're even a competitor anymore.
Mm-mm.
Tillable?
No.
Yeah. I interviewed that guy.
We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we listened to it.
Corbett. He's an okay guy. I didn't like what he was doing.
And we didn't really care for what he was doing either. I mean, I got a letter from him. Brad got a letter from him. Brad's family all got letters from him. But look, we view it as we have a dual-sided marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
If we can educate, inform landowners
Mm-hmm.
and provide quick, easy price discovery that is in a fair range, it has to be a fair range, or the farmers are going to be like, whoa, you guys are out of your mind. Our results speak for themselves. 9 out of 10 times we're above our range in the actual results. If we're not making the farmers happy and providing opportunities for them to grow and driving value for them,
Then it's all for
It's all for metal. Yeah. So it's a push and a pull where we have to make everybody happy. And if it doesn't work for the landowner, if it doesn't work for the farmer, but I tell him all the time, the farming community has started to embrace technology.
We're getting there.
A lot of it's in the machinery and the planting equipment and GPS and GMO seeds and all of this. Technology can impact the actual real estate division as well. So if you're willing to embrace it on certain aspects of ag, why wouldn't you embrace it and utilize it as a tool to grow your operation?
Well, and here's the thing too. I mean, you might be arguing with Napoleon Bed Guy, but literally he's going to be on there checking out.
I've always said farmers hate us in public.
Oh yeah,
love us in private.
Yeah. It's your first podcast?
It is number 4.
Okay.
4.
Yeah, you don't hit the table.
Doug said that, but I get emotional sometimes.
I know, but when you go to do the audio in this,
you just did it 3 times.
I'm making a point because they can't hear what I'm saying because I'm hitting the table. That's a little tip. I'm just trying to help.
Well,
you're trying to help me farm. I'm trying to help you.
You've done 376 podcasts.
And do you know who yells at me? My wife. Stop hitting the damn table.
We did our first one with ice in our...
I'm sure you've seen it. It's got 8 million views. We did it 3 weeks ago.
Pretty good. Yeah.
It's at 7.
7 million views?
No, it's 7 views.
Total.
My son busts my nuts all the time.
You got to start.
He's like, Dad, you only have 7 subscribers on Facebook or on YouTube. Going back to driving value to the farming community. So I would talk with all these guys. They'd call me and be like, hey, where are we at on this? And, they'd be asking questions about the farm. Do you know this? Do you know that? During the heat of the battle, what they're bidding, what they can pay. I can't speak to any specifics. I just say, hey, I don't know. I don't know the farm. The landowner put it up. And it's like, man, well, corn's here, beans are here. If it's a 3-year lease, I don't know what we're looking at, corn prices. So there was uncertainty in what somebody was willing to pay in rent based off of not knowing what commodities were going to be in the future.
Fair.
So one of the guys that was bidding on a farm happened to sell crop insurance. We got to talking, we met, we had lunch, and I said, hey, at some point I want to integrate, some type of crop insurance offering through the platform for, our farming community. And that got us talking, and he's like, well, we got a flex lease product, and, they're private products, not federal.
Yeah.
So long story short, last June, I met with one of the approved AIPs, and that's approved insurance provider for federal crop insurance. There's only 12 of them, I believe. And I went to him and I said, hey, I have been thinking about this. I want to create an insurance product to help the farmers that rent ground. Because let's face it, most farmers are renting 50% of the ground. They own 50%. They rent 50%. And
I think it's higher than that, isn't it?
It might be.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But
yeah. And I said, renting is going to become more and more of a viable option as prices rise. We need to create a private product, an insurance product that can protect these environments of high rents. So I said, I want to create a cash rent price protection policy.
Cash rent price protection policy.
Yes. So now, launching this month, there will be a cash rent price protection policy available in the year 2024. So what that means is when you sign a lease with a landowner, at the date you sign that lease, let's say it's 100 acres, and you're going to pay $400 an acre. You say, okay, price of corn is here today. I want to select my top price and my bottom price and my elected coverage. So you could decide, I want to cover $200 of that $400 rent, because you're still going to get a crop. You might say, I want to cover $300 of the $400 rent. So what happens is you select your coverage, the amount of rent you want covered, and let's just say corn's at $5, and you put your top price in at $4.85, and then you put your bottom price in at $4.20. Well, if corn hits $4.85, you start getting some of your rent paid, and it's pro rata all the way down until your floor, and then 100% of your rent is paid. So if corn hits $4.20 at fall harvest price, they're going to pay your whole $400 rent if that was your elected coverage. If your elected coverage was $300, they'd pay your full $300. And then you pay a premium based off of that.
It's taking the place of buying puts and calls constantly, but it doesn't expire.
Because what we found was some of the people willing to pay the top buck for rent were the best grain marketers.
Yeah, that counts me out.
So what this does, instead of having to go to the CME, call your broker and go to the CME and buy a put, and you've got bushel counts on theirs, you've got expiration. This insurance policy allows you to say, okay, I've got 100 acres, and it's per lease agreement. So each lease agreement you have,
so
can buy insurance.
This has nothing to do with the owner.
The owner,
the landowner.
The landowner can share in the cost with you of the premium.
Okay.
Or the landowner to say, hey, listen, I'm only comfortable having a tenant on here who has this covered.
It could be like a bank requiring mortgage insurance if they're going to give you a mortgage.
Or home
insurance.
Yeah, I mean, as uncertain as the commodity markets have been, you might have a landowner like, okay, that's great, Rob. You're paying me $400 a year for the next 3 years. But if corn goes back to $370, are you going to be able to pay?
Can they do that can you do this for 3 years?
You sign it so if you had a 3-year lease for that example, you would sign it for year one, but it would be in place for 3 years. Second year comes around, it would give you your new premium for the same coverage.
So it adjusts it.
It'll adjust. Okay. So you could say, I'm not comfortable with that premium. It's a little high, but my elected coverage is $300 per acre on the 400. I'll drop my elected coverage down to 200 and lower my premium. But I know if corn drops through the floor on my 420, all my 200 rent's getting paid, my elected coverage.
And the other neat thing is that instead of like the April 15th cutoff for federal crop,
you can buy this.
You can buy this all year.
So you can buy it anytime.
You can buy it.
I would like to post date it.
You cannot. We can educate and inform the agricultural community. We can start selling the policy for crop year 2024. But let's say you plant in 24 and you've got 10 leases out there and you don't take any of the insurance on it, and you've planted and you start watching prices. You start going, whoa. I don't like the way this is going. You can jump on and you can buy a policy to cover whatever amount of rent you think for each lease.
In most cases, it shakes out to somewhere between $30 and $35 an acre for coverage, depending on how much how much you're wanting to cover, how aggressive you want to get. You can get it much cheaper than that as well.
Are you estimating your yield?
No, it has nothing to do with yield.
No yields.
There's no yield. There's no county averages. There's no APH. There's nothing. It is a purely priced product.
And you're letting somebody else take your money, hedge your bet for you, basically, which is the insurance company.
Because that's what I was wondering. Like,
they're just hedging, and so
they're marketing your they're better at it than you are.
That does not take much, but I was just wondering the cost, compared to the puts.
It's cheaper in most cases. I'll show you the calculator after we get off this podcast because it's not for public consumption yet, but I'll show you, and it actually has the CME comparison, and it'll show you what a put on the CME would cost versus what the insurance policy would cost.
But it's going to empower so many folks like you. Maybe you're like the commodities trading is just not in your wheelhouse, and a lot of it seems like the vast majority of farmers it's not. There's some that are very successful with it and are educated. But this takes the guesswork out of that. This product does that 100% for you. It takes care of it.
You have to have a valid lease agreement. But you could have a farm that you're paying $200 on. And you're like, I'm comfortable. I don't need to insure that.
Well, if you could eliminate, because puts are a pain in the ass, and everybody gets. Seems like, man, you buy a put and everybody gets a piece of it. So yeah, I mean, if you have something that could compete with that or make that easy for myself as a farmer to do, then yeah, that's really interesting.
And it's neat that you don't have to, like you say, it's not a blanket across every. If you have a sweetheart of a deal with this neighbor here, we're on them 180, but you had to get deeper into the weeds and pay $350 right next door.
Yeah.
You're hoping the neighbor doesn't find out, but you can leave that one alone. You don't need any cash rental coverage on that. You're making out well, but the $350, pick it up, and you're safe regardless.
And they'll cover $100 of the rent.
You think the lenders would be appreciative? They could borrow me more money, or lend me more money.
We view the financial ag lenders will really be pushing this product.
Huh. Is it just available through you guys?
It's available all through the AIP, Hudson Crop Insurance, their network of agents across the country.
It's a great idea. I'm glad I thought of it.
But we did. So we have recently started, and Chris has been the main driver behind this. But we have the CommonGround Insurance Group in house now, with Hudson agents in house that we can facilitate this insurance policy as well as multi-peril, federal crop, everything. It's completely through us, and so ultimately wanting to be that one-stop shop for everything land, for everything farmer. We're working with some financing options and just make it an easy solution for everybody.
Yeah. And it's great to sit down and have discussions with farmers, and we have them out here quite often now. It's weird for me to create a product like this with zero farming background, no insurance background, but I still wake up every day saying we have a dual-sided marketplace. How do I drive value for the landowner? How do I drive value for the farmer? And really what started worrying me was our results on the platform, because we were driving 450, 475. I mean, we hit a 620 rent on 121 PI ground. It was a flyer, but it was like, there needs to be an insured product out there to protect the landowner and protect the farmer.
Well, you can't protect someone that's just going to bid to get it.
But there were
There were two bidders there.
That's a good point.
there always has to be two.
Seems like I brought that up earlier.
Yeah, he didn't just jump out $100 ahead of the next guy.
That was somebody else increment. It's not good. So at that time it might have been dollar increment.
But I mean, some of it was normally 99% of our auctions, they're reasonable. But when you start pushing at 450, 475, 500 rent, and farmers are like, that's my tipping point because I don't know what's going to happen with commodities. I was like, there's got to be an insurance product out there. And so that's why we created it, to protect the farmers, to protect the landowners. And you can have assignment of indemnity within the policy. It's a one-page policy. You give a copy of your lease, you fill it out. You can have an assignment of indemnity right to the landowner. So if you cover 200 of the 400 rent and you hit bottom trigger price and they pay full indemnity, you hand your landlord a check for 200 and the insurance company cuts them a check for 200.
You keep the crop.
And you keep the crop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
That's like I said.
we're excited.
It's really neat. We did our at liberty to show it. How
Not until it's launched officially.
Yeah, but we're very excited about it. Most every operator we spoke to about it is very excited about it.
Even the good ones that are really good at marketing grain are like, it's kind of easier and a little bit cheaper.
It is cheaper.
Yeah. Well, it is.
We're doing it in scale.
Yeah.
So,
See.
but yeah. But thank you. We greatly appreciate you making the trip, and know you got to get out of town. Where you're signing autographs somewhere?
Yeah, exactly. $5 a piece.
Really?
Yeah.
That cheap?
Yeah, you got a pen here? Yes, I can.
Yeah, we got some CommonGround swag over there for you, so you can sign one.
Nice.
Yeah, perfect.
Rob, thank you. Really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
No, thanks for the invitation.
No, very good time. So, as always, want to thank none of our sponsors, but hopefully LGTV, Red Solo Cups, and Pollywood Tables.
You can't even get CommonGround to sponsor?
But we
gotta do. I mean, it's...
Well, then you got a sponsor, man.
CommonGround sponsors the CommonGround podcast. It's our only sponsor.
It is our only sponsor for right now, till John Deere. I mean, we're advertising their cotton pickers.
You lay off. That's mine.
What, you had a sponsor?
What?
Well, you've done 376.
I know. You don't. John Deere, they're fine.
Dumb question.
What?
What podcast number did you get offered a sponsorship?
It doesn't. No, that's not a fair question because podcasts were brand new. We started getting paid at 100-ish. Yeah.
2 more years at 1 week.
Yeah, but the thing is, my podcast is good.
Yeah, that's why
People watch it instead of knowing the difference, right? Yeah.
Well, what's funny is this will be our most viewed podcast only because I'll watch it 5 times a day.
Okay.
And I'm just going to study.
I'll tell my mom.
I'm studying you.
So that's another one.
I'm studying you, and I'll be like, I'm going to learn. It's like watching tape.
Time to go to
Like a
bed.
professional athlete.
It's time for you to take them to bed.
I think we need good here. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. As always, appreciate everyone listening. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you.
You're the man.
Join the Common Ground community on Facebook. Thanks, everyone.